Right, we're live. Let's wait a little bit until a few people join. Right, we're live. Let's wait a little bit until a few people join. Jack, can you see the chat?
Yeah, I just joined the chat on YouTube Live as well. Hi everyone, nice to see you all. Got 20 people so far, so should we wait for a bit longer for?
It's going up by the second. Oh, cool. Julia had the first massage this morning.
Oh, nice. Good to hear. Hi, Nina. Hi, Paula.
Natalie. Hi. Right. So I think so to give you a bit of an understanding of what we're going to go through today. So first we're going to start with an update from Jack. So touching on how bookings are going so far for this week for Massage and Beauty, how bookings for the rest have been going until now. How is the lobbying going as well? Like what's left on the agenda, and also giving you just a general state, an update about the state of Urban, like financially, team-wise. From that, we're going to be moving on to Q&A in regards to, questions you have for things. There's been a few over the weekend about PPE requirements for gloves, for timings, etc. So I'll try to answer those as much as I can, and if not, then we'll take note of the questions and we'll be looking to answer those this week. But it'd be nice to have those coming from you via the YouTube chat. After Jack is done with your updates. Jack, over to you.
Cool, thanks, Elsa. Hi everyone, and really good to do this YouTube Live today. I know some of you have asked for it in the forum, and so here we are. I think firstly, I think today is definitely a point of celebration, but equally as well, we understand that we're not fully there yet because we still have some colleagues who are not able to fully return to work because there are still some restrictions on some of the services that we can offer, such as the face-related services, which I'm continuing to work very hard on the lobbying efforts as a whole. But yeah, firstly, just to kind of give you an update, we've been working very extensively over the past couple of months. If you've been following my Twitter as well, I've been very vocal to really sort of point out the different MPs that are supporting us and equally the MPs that are not supporting us. But overall, we've got what we wanted out of it all. And particularly what I was most concerned about was really some of the associations were saying that mobile therapy is not safe, but that this is really untrue. There's no evidence to suggest anything or any science to prove that. And so what was really important for me is that whilst we saw the unlocking of the industry today, that the mobile industry wasn't left behind. And so I was very, very pleased to see when the announcements was published on last week, was that mobile therapy had a very specific call out, particularly mobile massage for in-home. So that was a really, really good success, which now has really aligned all of the associations to refrain saying that, because ultimately associations do have their own agendas, and we're here as Urban to protect you and your businesses and our position within the space. So that was really, really important. So in terms of bookings, so we opened bookings as soon as we heard that we had the go ahead on Friday, and it was on Thursday. It was all the days are now kind of blended into one. But the team worked extremely, extremely hard since the announcement was made on Thursday afternoon to get the whole platform up and running and starting to accept bookings. So I think it was about 5:30 or so, we understood that we were able to start taking bookings. And then already sort of early parts of the evening, we're already accepting bookings for this Monday onwards. So it's great to hear that some of you have already delivered bookings this morning and kind of getting back into swing of things, which is fantastic. But so far, the booking levels are tracking extremely well. We, typically at the beginning of the week, so for the beginning of the week, we tend to see about 33% of our weekly bookings already made at that point in time. So on a Monday morning, 33% of the week coming worth of bookings are booked by this time. But as of this morning, we had 55%. So we're about 22% more than our normal pre-COVID levels on a Monday start. Now, before we get really, really excited about this all, one thing that we have seen in our French business is that there has been some latent demand that's been built up. So a lot of people who have not had treatments in the past 3.5, 4 months would have jumped on that first opportunity to make that booking. We've seen also a very, very high levels of zeros. What we call zeros is basically customers not being able to find any available slots that they want. So what we're seeing is that a lot of customers are coming to our website, coming to our apps, and not finding their preferred slots. Again, typically evenings, typically weekends. So I think if we had a bit more availability on the platform, that number will be even higher. But so I think one thing for certain is that really good start to the opening week. We've seen in Paris as well that the opening week was very, very similar, and then it kind of recovered back to so it slowed down a little bit, and then recovered all the way back to around 75% of the pre-COVID levels. So we're expecting a very similar thing in the UK. So really busy first week. It will get a little bit quieter in a couple of weeks to come, but then still, make sure that you're still made yourself available for the coming weeks. And then it'll gradually recover back to the 75%. A lot of that is to do with consumer confidence. And this is something that we're going to be working on. We're going to also continue to lobby for additional support. And I'll talk a little bit more about the lobbying efforts. But by and large, a really good start to the opening week. So on the lobbying front, as I mentioned, that we've been working really quite a few months now on reopening a proportion of our industry, particularly complementary therapies. We've now fully reopened, which is fantastic. We've taken extra precaution, particularly around sort of more at-risk type customers, like pregnant, anyone that is also clinically vulnerable. We've obviously created extra precaution, which I also can talk more about that in a second. But more importantly, at the moment, we must not forget that a good segment of our partners and our colleagues in our community have not been fully being able to go back to work. And this is a really, really important point, that we have a next date for our colleagues who are doing facials, who are doing lashes and any other treatments on the face. They must know a date to resume work. So this is the primary objective from a lobbying perspective. There are two other things that we're working on. The second thing is that we know that our industry, by and large, has been unfairly treated. We've been held back, and we thought, and we had signaled that we can return to work alongside non-essential retail. That was the 16th of May. That was pushed back. And then we were expecting the 4th of July. That was also pushed back. So really, we understand that this has had significant amounts of impact to our colleagues in the industry as a whole, within the urban community as well. And I think what's important is that we continue to lobby for further financial support for our industry and for our colleagues. So making sure that the extra self-employed support schemes are in place, particularly any industry-specific financial support. We're going to continue to lobby this and make sure that we can get as much as we can during this time for all of us. And then the final thing is that we've all seen the government is trying to become a Groupon, 2-for-1, Monday to Wednesday, which is a fantastic scheme. I think it's very innovative. I think beyond the £10 effectively discounts on different restaurants that you can get discounts with. What's important is that that the financial support scheme is in place for our colleagues that have been impacted during this time. But then the third thing is the stimulus package, that the Eat Out to Help Out scheme that they've launched for the hospitality and the food industry. I think that's fantastic for that industry, but equally as well, I think it's important that there is a stimulus package to really encourage people to look after themselves, to really encourage them to be well and help out at the same time. And this is what we will continue to lobby in the coming few months. So that's it really on the lobbying front. And I've been working with an all-party parliament group, which was founded by two MPs, Caroline Harris and also Judith Cummins, both of which have been really, really phenomenal in terms of gathering the support from the MPs to really push Boris to give us the go ahead, which is really, really important. I had one question coming in saying government working safely during COVID guidelines in regards to keeping the activity time involved as short as possible. We'll answer all these questions later on, and I'll jump into that in a second. So I'm jumping around a little bit. And then the final topic really is about the financial health of the company. So, I think it's important. We are working very transparently on all of this. And, it's no secret that, if you don't work, if you're not successful, we're not successful. So this is how our business model works, right? And so obviously during the COVID period, we've had to work significantly reduce our team size and utilizing the furlough schemes and so on. And also we've had a round of restructuring in the business already. And this is obviously a very challenging time for our industry, for our colleagues, for our business as a whole. But what's important is that we've had really, really overwhelming amount of support from our investors, who really see Urban's business model being very, very viable before COVID. It's been very successful, and January, February has been the most successful months that we've had historically, and even sort of the first couple of weeks of March was the best trading weeks that we've had. Obviously, once we had to suspend the platform and suspend all the services, that's when it became really, really challenging for us, because for our business, we're still not profit making, we're still loss making business, and we've had to make some very, very tough decisions with regards to the future of some of our colleagues. We've had to make some very difficult decisions around and challenging decisions around restructuring the whole organization. We are going to be post-COVID a much smaller team than we were coming into COVID, but not to say that we're anything less than our pre-COVID. I think what this period has taught us as a team, for me as a leader in the business, is really about being very, very persistent and fighting through and not giving up. I think there's been many times, especially around the lobbying front, when Boris just constantly didn't listen. We wrote to him many times. We invited the ministers to come and have a look and talk to us about the various different guidelines and various different protocols are putting in place, and saying that we as an industry have always been very hygiene centric. It's part of the education, it's part of our profession, and we've always been turned down, and it's been very, very difficult. But we've persevered, we've fought, we continue to fight, and we got through it. And I think that's taught our whole team a very, very strong lesson that, we're not going to give up. We didn't give up, and we're not going to give up now. And so really, we come out of this much stronger. We need to just, have a positive view. We need to do the right thing. We'll continue doing the right thing. But, I think in any case really here is that, there is an opportunity at the end of this. I think it's an opportunity, particularly around, customers being much more conscious about their health and well-being. And I think this is a big lesson that we've all learned from this COVID situation. I think we've always also have seen that, a lot of customers have from our recent surveys actually feel a lot more comfortable being in their own homes than traveling and traveling to a location. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity after this. We are going to be a smaller team, but nothing is going to say that we're going to be less of a team, in any regard. So I think that's important to know as well.
There was sorry, I think it could, but I think there was a question around corporate bookings. Do you maybe want to touch on that?
Yeah. So in regards to corporate bookings, so our offices are not going to be returning back to work for the safety and the comfort of our colleagues in HQ until likely into January. And for many businesses, this is a very similar trajectory that they're looking at, is to continue people to work from home for a long time, and likely to be into January. And so for the corporate side of things, as we've known it, in terms of delivering treatments on site, it's going to be heavily disrupted. We have obviously pivoted and added the new model of video, both on the consumer business as well as the corporate business. And, it has its own challenges and successes. I think particularly with corporate, what we're seeing is that employees are doing Zoom all day, every day with their colleagues. They are tuning into YouTube videos for fitness. And I think we're seeing gradually a slight fatigue of employees, continuing to tune in to live meditation or different workshops and classes that we offer today. But not to say that that's not going to be there. I think what we're seeing is two different things. We're seeing that some businesses are returning to work as soon as September. And we've already spoken to those customers, and they are very much looking forward to bringing back services into the workplace, because they see this and wellness being an initiative to really continue to offer support for their employees, but also as a way to really gel and encourage their teams to come back together as one unity. So that's a really important trend that we've seen. The second thing is that some businesses, a bit more sort of tech-oriented businesses, are not looking to return to work until January. And so for these businesses, what we are looking to do is to offer a slightly new proposition and product. And the new product will look like, will be a membership product, whereby employees can continue their wellness journey and their wellness rituals at home. So their employers will be giving them vouchers and credit to use on the Urban platform to then book services with you. So we've already got some really strong interest. We have one of our key clients, can't name yet, but it's a really, really known technology company and an online business that will be giving their 250 employees vouchers to use on the Urban platform every single month for the next 6 months to spend on treatments, to spend on classes and so on and so forth. And so my prediction really for the corporate services to resume back to where we used to see it will be around January time. That's when I will predict we'll see an uplift again back to the pre-COVID levels. But just to quickly finish about our financial health, you know, we before COVID, so in April, we managed to gather support and raise a relatively significant amount of capital, which, you know, has obviously been there to support, you know, our existing team, and also be enough to see us all the way through and to maintain the continuity of the Urban platform to remain here and existing here to support your businesses. But of course, you know, it goes back to the point of, like, you know, the amount that we raised was purely allowed to kind of sustain the platform, right? You know, each month it takes a lot of money to maintain our infrastructure and everything else, and so and that was really the core thing that we have. And what I'm hoping for is that once we've, you know, have some few months of data from how we recovered and we fight very strongly, hopefully I can go back to our investors and propose an opportunity to be able to then invest more into growing the at-home market, particularly as customers feel safer to be at home.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jack. Do you still have some time to stay for the Q&A?
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
Super. So we're going to move on to answering some of the questions that you have posted on the forum, you've shared via the Typeform in regards to PPE and requirements to offer home bookings again. So a question that came back quite a lot this weekend was around wearing gloves for massages. So some of you were asking clarification about this, as the guideline mentioned that where possible, you know, and if it's not crucial for the treatment, should be wearing it. Our interpretation of the guidelines is that this is not mandatory. I think the guidelines make PPE requirements like visors extremely clear when they are mandatory. So to make sure that, you know, this was the correct interpretation, we've seek some further, you know, so further information from associations, from insurances, and I know that associations such as the FHT is also doing the same thing on their side, for example, because it's something that is not very clear for anyone, really. So it's not just us. So far, everyone's been pretty vague, and, you know, everyone is like, okay, well, you know, it doesn't look like it's mandatory for something like massage, for example. They more suggest, you know, if you can do it, but to be very honest, if it's not, you know, if it goes against the treatment, it would be a bit, you know, difficult to use them, then it's fine. That's our interpretation. Now, if we do have the government coming back saying that it needs to be mandatory, then, you know, of course, we'd be following the government guidelines. But as we stand, this is not something that we see as mandatory as it should. As right now, we've also contacted Balance, and they've said that, you know, they stay very vague and say just follow the government guidelines and you'll be covered. And it would be very much the same for other association-related insurances. This is a little bit of the same story for treatment timings. So a few of you asked if we should be be limiting treatment to 60 minutes. Once again, we went out to associations and to insurances to check on that, and everyone is very vague on the subject. So I think as a whole industry is looking for further clarification around the gloves and the timing. Would be, if something clarifying the situation is coming out, then we'll follow it. But for now, we stay on our position that, treatments are okay for 90 minutes and 2 hours, especially if you take into account that if you're in a clinic, you will stay in the same space for a whole day. In the end, for massage, the maximum you can stay within the same space is 2 hours. So this is what makes us believe that this isn't as bad for home bookings than it could be for clinics or spas, for example. We'll keep you posted on that, but we've reached out to all of those this morning. Some of them are not taking our calls, so for now we're standing on our positions. The second questions, a few of you asked if we added some more time to the treatments to enable you to clean and deliver the hygiene protocol that we've shared with you. We haven't added minutes to the treatment itself, but we've added a net 25% more buffer time to your travel time between bookings. So what that means is that essentially the treatment time that you will see on your app will still be, for example, 60 minutes and not 70 or 75, but you should have more time in between bookings to go over the treatment time to do the required protocol for hygiene. So, this is something that we count on you to share feedback on this week. Once you've experienced it yourself, you've had a few bookings. If you do find that this is very tight and matters of where you have back-to-back bookings and short travel time between each, please send it to info@urban.co with the booking number every time, and let us know when it was very tight. So that way, what we can do is that we can share this very concrete and specific example to the tech team, and then they'll be able to assess where it's gone wrong and kind of tweak without making travel time way too much for the rest of the community as well. So that's about travel time and extra time for bookings. I'm just going to quickly check questions. Let us know when it was very good. So it's fine. Then we had a lot of questions in regards to consultation form online. So this one is a all-time hot subject. Like, everyone wants a consultation form online. I know we'd love it too, to be fair. The problem here is that we can't really do what we want with consultation form and innovate and put it online without considering what the insurance company are going to do about this. So historically, the reason why we haven't done this is because insurances were very insistent on having a paper trail and not allowing e-signing for consultation forms. So that's why we've never really gone ahead and built it, because we didn't want to run the risk of you invalidating your insurance. During COVID, we thought that this would be the good opportunity to ask insurances again if they would be more open to using technology to ease this process and also keep you safe. We've asked and they've insisted that they still wanted to see a signed consultation form at the booking. So again, we'll continue to push, but as we stand, this is the reason why we don't have anything about to enable you to do consultation form online. In regards to asking the clients about whether they have symptoms or not. So again, quite a big question from you guys over the weekend. At the moment, what we have is a series of communication at different touch points saying that they shouldn't be booking if them or someone in their household, have to self-isolate. The reason why we're not asking them consultation form style to confirm that they don't have symptoms at the point of booking is because this may not be valid anymore once the booking takes place. So if someone books now for Saturday, they might actually realize they have symptoms, or they have, someone in their household who do, and therefore they have to cancel their bookings. And us asking them that question prior to it wouldn't have made a huge difference. So we are, of course, flagging the fact that they shouldn't be booking if they are unwell. We're allowing them to cancel their booking, free of charge if they do have symptoms, so that they're not encouraged to lie. And there's different points of communication throughout their whole journey until the booking, and until even very close to the booking, to make sure that they know that they shouldn't be going ahead with the treatment. They shouldn't be going ahead with the treatment if they have symptoms. Now, if you do want to contact your client via instant messaging, like 24 hours or a few hours before the booking, to ask, if all is well with them, like, by all means, be my guest. We have extended the time from which you can contact your client with via instant messaging. So you can basically contact them from the point of booking, from the point of them booking until the booking itself. So again, try and reach out to them if that makes you feel more comfortable. You are more than welcome to do so. So let me go. I think that's it on my side. I'm going to go through the questions quickly to make sure that we haven't missed anything.
I think just to add on the pre-booking, it's really, really important, and we've also published our risk assessments online. I've also linked it from the forum, but you can find it on our website. But one of the key things for at-home services is that you make contact with the customer. That provides you a lot more comfort, and you can do so through the instant messaging app, or give them a call through the call button, and that will connect you directly to the customer. Make sure the room is well ventilated. That only the client that you're treating is in the room, in the same room that you're in, and again, go through the steps again. It's important that we follow these guidelines.
Joanna is asking a question about mitigating the risk by post-clinic client during booking process, whether they are within the vulnerable group or not. Jack, do you want to touch on to that one?
So I've asked about, did we receive an answer about mitigating the risk by pre-screening clients during booking process, whether they are within the vulnerable group or not? Again, this is part of the booking process. Obviously, if anyone is considered as clinically vulnerable, they shouldn't be booking the services. It has, so whenever you log in, if you have not logged in since COVID's happened, it will basically take the customer through this checks process, and they have to confirm before they can book. We've also temporarily taken pregnancy massage off to really take that extra precaution that this other vulnerable group is not being catered for.
Actually,
yeah, we
haven't. It's actually the guidelines do not specify about this particular point, and we are instead making it very clear to this party group, that they should be, they should be more very, very careful and very prudent, and they should only be booking knowing the risks, basically.
Just to kind of scroll up to some of the questions, I think Kevin made a comment about restarting insurance be easier, as you can restart without insurance, but you can't refresh insurance without proving you're an urban hero. I'm not sure what this is relating to, Kevin, but I think in terms of if it's for digital risk, maybe Elsa, you can comment.
For which one? Sorry, Jack. I missed that.
Kevin Hardman said about restarting the insurance. So he's saying that he can't restart his insurance unless he can prove that he's an urban hero, but you can't. Yeah. Okay.
Kevin, for this one, email us at info@urban.co so we can look into it. They shouldn't, it's probably linked to some kind of discount or anything, but insurances usually do not require specifically for you to prove that. So let us deal with that one separately, but please email us with all of the information if that's okay. In regards to Chantel's comment around travel time, I think you're right. That's like travel time is always a very, very fine line. So while we want to make sure that everyone has a enough time to go through the protocol, we also need to make sure that it's not basically killing the concept of travel time, and then you're sitting around all day and you're not taking as many bookings as you would like to take. So that's why right now we have the 25%. Again, if you guys feel, because you're on the field, you're the ones that can tell us what the machine is doing in a way with travel time. So really do make sure that you tell us whether it is too short or whether it is too long. Send us with bookings and tell us between that booking and that booking it was too long or it was too short. Also bear in mind that if you are driving or taking public transport, the travel time is different. So we might see with your examples that actually we've overestimated or underestimated travel time for public transport, for example. So do make sure that you send us very detailed example with the booking numbers if you can, so that we can look into this very in a good way. I basically can copy and paste it and give it to the product team without them asking me for 15,000 details. That'd be much more efficient. Nina is saying, so are we allowed to take the tube or not? We strongly recommend that you try and limit if you are taking public transport, try to reduce your wherever possible, to reduce your areas so that you don't spend too much time in the tube. Also make sure that you wear face covering in the tube. That's very, very important. These are TfL guidelines. We insist on that. So yeah, you can, technically it's not highly recommended, but you can take the tube. Do you guys have more questions? I would like to add, actually, while I'm there, I'm sure you've all read that lovely page that Yasmin and I spent a lot of time compiling so that you can have all of the information in one place. I know it's long, I really do. It's super long, but please read it, because there's a lot of things on there that will help you, help you answer your questions around PPE, around protocols requirements, around also what has changed on the app in the meantime, to help you go to booking more nicely and safely. So please do read it. If you do feel that something is missing on there, please message us on the forum, Yasmin and I, we can just add add it on. But the goal of this was to give you one place with all of the info. It's, you know, like if you do not have completed all of the steps, if you do not have completed all of the required hygiene steps and purchase all of the kit, you might have seen that your profile has been deactivated last week. In the meantime that you do so. It's not because we don't want you, it's not because we don't want you on the platform, it's just because it's basically a precaution, a technical precaution, so that you don't get booked in the meantime, you know, you are all ready to go, and it gives you some time to complete the steps. For those of you who had bookings but didn't yet complete all of the steps, because if you remember, we've allowed some people with only 2 out of 3 steps to be eligible for pre-bookings. If you have bookings from Wednesday to Sunday this week, you have until tonight to send us proof of your PPE. So, you know, if you haven't done that by the end of the day, we'll have to reallocate your booking. So please make sure that you complete that. There is a form you need to submit with the picture of the kit. And for the rest of you, you know, like, feel free to send those across to us via the form. Please note that, as Jack said, we are running on a very skeleton team at the moment. So there's a lot of requests coming in, and we are doing as much as we can to check and reactivate you as soon as possible. But, you know, like, account for, you know, 2 working days for your request to be reviewed. We're of course trying to be much faster than that. It's a bit conservative, but, you know, like, bear in mind that we are, you know, we're running around trying to make things happen. This week we, you know, been waiting for 3 months and then 4 days to get ready. Woo! So we're doing our best on that. So
there's quite a few questions have come in, Elsa.
So what about the new skills? I would like to add sports massage to my profile. Can we do it these days? So in regards to additional trade tests, especially when it comes to massage, we'll have to come back to you on this. Like, as Jack said, we're not back in the office. We have not reopened onboarding, whether it is for additional, you know, services or, you know, to onboard new practitioners on the platform. There's a bit of logistics going around those. So, you know, I would ask you to bear with us on this. As soon as we have a date for reopening additional trade tests, we will have to say no until then, I'm afraid. But we'll keep you posted for sure. Reconsultation, I don't think there is a facility now. We can print them for a bit to include it in the app. Okay, it's, yeah, I mean, it would, yeah, I don't have a solution for the printing out of consultation form. I know there's a few web cafes that sometimes have a printer facility, or even online. We can look into maybe sending you some tips around this, but I suggest, yeah, you definitely need to have printed consultation form, and insurances often advised to keep those in file for several years in case of a claim. So please guys, make sure you do conduct a consultation like at every time you start a booking. This is not an urban requirement. This is a requirement that your insurance has put in place so that you're covered for a claim. So really make sure that you do it. Is there a separate sports consultation form? Matt, I think you've asked this on the forum over the weekend. It wasn't showing on the page, but yes, there is a sports consultation form with COVID-related questions included in them, and it's been made available to you guys this morning on the site. So go to your resources page. Click on the consultation form with COVID link, and you'll find it. It's definitely there. It had the wrong setting on. That's why it wasn't showing this morning. I've got to go. Thank you very much. Paul, if you've completed all of the steps but still haven't been reactivated, the first thing I would make sure is that you've definitely submitted the form where we ask you if you've completed all of the required steps, and also ask you to share a picture of your kit with the required items. That might be the reason why it hasn't been done yet. If not, we'll be looking to go through the backlog of requests in the next 2 days, so bear with us. We will try to get this done as soon as possible. Any more questions? There was something about an app update about being, yes, Julia. So this is a very good question. So if you're on the forum, you might have seen that one of the engineers posted something around what we called a dynamic service areas and dynamic diaries. So this is a pretty big feature that the team's been working on. If some of you have been with us for a little bit, then you would know that last year you finally got the opportunity to changing your service areas yourself from the app. That was a big one. And then we said that we would do further, we would add to this feature so that you could also select which treatment you would like to do in those zones depending on the day. So for example, if you do massage and facials, then you could be doing massage only during the weekend or specific days, and then do facials on other days so that you don't have to carry the equipment around for both. It will be the case, you'll be able to choose service areas, transport mode, and treatment types for a specific day of the week. And you'll be able to add you'll be able to allocate service areas accordingly. And we will be sharing more information on that soon, because Rob told me this morning that the beta version of this for iOS app was going to come out fairly soon. So as soon as this is out for iOS, we'll have to wait a little bit more for Android users, but share a lot more details with you, and you'll be able to start trying it as soon as possible. In the context of congestion charge, it's going to be actually quite good, because it means that you're going to be able to select the areas that you want for X, Y, and Z time of the day, I think, or at least for a specific day. So it means that if you wanted to make sure that all of you wanted to make sure to make the most of your congestion charge in a way, then it means that you could just select just the congestion charge area for a specific day. So you're sure that you are at least within that zone for, I don't know, 2 to 3 bookings rather than just one, and then paying the congestion charge out. With the increasing cost of the congestion charge, will this be restricted for booking the congestion zone, especially if we've been recommended to use car as means of transport? Unfortunately not. We are not looking to do any price related changes as a whole for now. And for a little while, actually, I think we need to be very cautious about what the market is going to, learning from how the market is going to evolve, and making sure that we keep seeing the level of bookings that we're seeing now in the future. So bottom line is, right now is really not time to change the price, especially as we already added an extra £2 for any treatments that has table involved, and an extra £1 for others for PPE. So we adding even more would be quite a big risk in terms of booking volumes for both you guys and us. So it wouldn't be prudent to do so right now. But as I said, with the new feature coming out with dynamic service areas, you'll be able to better manage your diaries, that at least if you have to go into the congestion zone, then you can make sure that all of your bookings will be concentrated in there, and then at least having a return on that investment. Is it possible for you to send us an up-to-date post-COVID consultation for please? Yes. So those, I mean, those are available on your resources page, so you can access this space either from your app or your portal. It's at the very top of the list, so you just have to click on consultation form, and you'll see that there's also a mention updated post-COVID. So they're already available. Nunzia, you can get them from your app or portal as of now. Michelle, so you're a reflexologist, and you said that both therapists and clients need to wear a mask. So I think what I would suggest is to contact your insurance, I mean your association and insurance, but something that we've seen by contacting a few insurances about timings or about the gloves, for example, is that even if they work with association, for them, like the basic is that they just say follow the government guidelines, and we've been through those government guidelines, and they, I mean more than we would like, and in there it's very clear that they say that you should be wearing a visor, and that you and the client, if you're not required to wear a mask if you are wearing a visor. So, you know, like I think association are also, you know, advising best practices and, you know, advising, you know, some kind of their own etiquette, but we should make sure that on the visor related side, we follow the government guideline, because it's, for this one, it's very, very clear that you have to wear one. And believe us, we went first with the mask, and then we went back and followed the visor guidance. And, you know, it's because it's extremely, extremely clear that everyone should be wearing a visor, and that masks are not required to be worn by either you or the client when you're doing so. Should we be wearing visor when we enter the client's home, or with them there and we can carry concession? So for Eva's questions, I mean, the more precaution, the better. You know, like if you already have a visor, I mean, if you are about to wear a visor, you should like just wear it when entering the client's place. I think you don't really know where you're gonna go in a way. Like the space in the client's home might not be made in a way that this is gonna be, you know, like obvious that you can keep 2 meters right away when you first enter. I think also it's important for the clients to know that, you know, like you are following hygiene guidelines, and I think it will look a lot better if you wear one. And also it would be safer for you. You know, if someone opens the door and they're like that far away from you, at least you have a protection. So while it's not very clear, I would strongly suggest that you wear a face covering from even before you enter the client's place to avoid confusion. Are you looking into a substitute way of transportation for all in order to cut public transportation, such as bicycle carriers or scooter with carriers? So Nina, I know you love this question. You and I have had a conversation about this quite a few times. To be very honest, as we said, we're a very small team at the moment, and our focus for the next few weeks and months is to make sure that, you know, we recover to a level of business which was pre-COVID, and that everything is back up and running, and making sure that we're doing so while keeping you safe. So right now, I do not have I do not have a answer for you, and also I'm not extremely sure this is going to be within our scope, given the amount of team member we have right now. To look into in the next few months. If you'd like to use the bicycle, or if you find a creative way to do so, please share it with us in the community. That'd be really cool to pass on. Whenever the date for virtual appointment versus booking, will there be a feature to specify which hour in the day are for? That's a very good question. I've got to double check. So that's for. So sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Ethan Sabri. I'm not so great with British names, but it's something that I'm gonna double check with Rob. Actually, I'm not sure. I'll double check with you and get back to you. Julia is asking, if someone books reflexology and turns out to be pregnant, it's obvious, should I refuse the treatment? I think you also need to, like you would do, like you would do before. You are your own therapist. If you come to someone's place and you see that there is a contraindication to the treatment, then you should you should not proceed. Basically, this doesn't change. It is something that you will spot as part of your consultation. That's why it's so important. And then from there, if the client is not fit for the treatment you're about to give, then you should let them know that it's not possible and get in touch with us so that we can help you sort this out. I'd really appreciate Urban doesn't say you don't need to wear a mask to clients, but it's more like it's not extremely must, but a therapist might ask you to wear. I think we need to, if we need to make sure that there is we kind of align as a community on what the clients are required to do or not, because I'm sure you would have other examples where if not everybody follow the same line, then some clients would just be like, oh, like the last therapist hasn't done that. So as a very blanket rule, you need to wear a visor, and the client is not required by the government to wear a face covering. Now, make sure that if it's something that is very important to you, make sure that you get the client's approval so that they wear a mask. But they shouldn't, given it's not a requirement, they if they do not accept, then there's, if you're uncomfortable, then we'll have to cancel the bookings. But yeah, it's try to follow the same blanket rule around PPE, so it doesn't create confusion and also put the following therapist into a less comfortable place as well. And also, Shichiro, on this side, like you'll see on all communication that we are prompting users to be collaborative. I think it's a tone of voice with I think they know it's not just about them, but it's about safety for both you and them. So all our communication is very clear, and we are prompting them to be collaborative with the therapist, rather than this is what the therapist is going to do to protect you, because it's not just one way. So yeah. So if we decide to recommend PT sessions face-to-face, we'll be able to continue with online bookings at the same time. Yes, you can continue to do both. If you want to do physical and online, you can do both at the same time, that's for sure. And to answer Shiro's question, there is no guideline. We are not allowed to ask clients to wear a mask though. There are guidelines. There are guidelines that says that actually wearing a visor is safe enough so that the client does not need to wear a mask. Does anyone have more questions? There's a bit of a lag between the chats and and me talking, so that's why sometimes we're pausing and we're going through. So yeah. Will Urban limit the amount of bookings a therapist do in one day? I mean, it's up to you guys. If you don't want to be doing more bookings than an X amount, just don't add hours or remove your hours once you've had enough. It's up to your discretion. I think there's always the physical aspect of messaging that needs to, you know, that is very much a personal that is a personal preference. I know that some guys do not have an issue with 5 bookings a day, but I know that some of you cannot do past 2 or 3 because it's physically tiring for them. So it's up to you guys. If you want to, number of bookings are not going to be limited by us, but it's very much up to you to limit it for yourselves based on your preference. Are you guys tired after so much effort last month? I don't know if Eva is asking us or asking other people from the community, but in terms of us, I think it's pretty safe to say that we're pretty exhausting. we're looking forward to normality again, very much. Yes, Natalie, I do need a massage. I've actually got one booked at 5 today, like a cheeky massage at 5 because my back is killing me. And Shiro, yes, you can ask, but again, you know, if the client refuses, it's their right, as the guideline says that it would be safe to do without. So yes, you're welcome to ask, but it's, you know, it will be up to them to say yes or no. All right, I think, do you guys have more questions? Let's wait for that little lag, and then and then if that's the case, if it's all good, then I guess this is a wrap. So will there be a second wave and there will be local lockdown? Do we have any information about this? I'd love to know if there is a second wave coming, but I don't think we can predict at this stage, Jack.
No, I mean, I think the only thing that we can follow is the Leicester lockdown, local lockdown. But as it stands right now, and obviously we're, you know, for me, my full-time job right now is to be connected with the government. And so we will hear obviously very early if there is a localized lockdown. But as far as we've heard is that it'll be very localized. So, you know, they're looking at, particularly in London, being borough specific, but not sure how they will govern that. But, you know, of course we will do our part and do the right thing.
Yeah. And then to answer Sarah, who's got a question, do you have to wear both a visor and a mask or one or the other? Government guidelines, Sarah, says that you have to wear a visor and you're not required to wear a mask when wearing one. So please stick to the visor, really, really important. If you guys need any visors, you still can use the order now and pay later scheme with PPE Direct to order one, and then you'll be charged for that once you start earning again. So go to the COVID information page, which I'm going to try and share here. You should have everything you need to know on that. Oops, no, wrong one. Nina, are we gonna get our money for June and July? I do not know what you're referring to, but maybe the government scheme, I don't know.
Unfortunately, we're not eligible for CBIL or any other schemes that are available to fund businesses. Sadly, we fall in a very odd gap.
And then what about if someone book and appear on the track and trace after the booking in terms of the therapist? What will happen? Asking for a friend. So in regards to, so that's actually a very good point, Natalie. So if you or someone in your household have to self-isolate, you have to let us know. So I believe that it's all on the government website. But essentially, if you have symptoms, you'll be asked to self-isolate for 7 days. But if someone in your household has symptoms, it will be 14 days. And then if you are contacted as part of the test and trace tracking system, you will also have to self-isolate. So if you, essentially the blanket rule, if you have to self-isolate, get in touch with us, because then we will temporarily deactivate your account until the self-isolation times passed, to be on the safe side. If your client appears on the track and trace after the booking, then the way it works, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, is that they're being asked to provide, I believe, information of the people you've been in touch with, and then the NHS will get in touch with you, but it remains all anonymous. So essentially, we wouldn't know if it's an urban client. You wouldn't know if it's the guy you've been next to at the shop. So the point is, for us, you need to tell us right away so that we can deactivate your account, reallocate your bookings, and make sure that we give you the time to be well again, to take bookings. Yeah. In regards to question from Sarah, are you required for earphones? Sarah, if you click on the link that I've just posted just below your question, you will see, if you scroll down, there is a matrix there's a table of all of the PP that you required to have for urban bookings, based on the type of treatments that you offer. So please refer to that in terms of PP requirements. As the change in algorithm meant we won't show up in certain areas as available. So algorithm hasn't changed in that sense. The algorithm's changed in the sense where we are allowing extra travel time in between bookings for you to have time to proceed to the hygiene actions. So the algorithm hasn't changed in terms of who shows up or not in the search for clients. All we ask you is that try and limit your travel as much as possible. I know it can be tricky, but especially if you're taking public transport, try not to have a huge amount of areas, because that will increase your time in the tube, which isn't great for anyone at the moment. But no, the algorithm hasn't changed.
I think Nina's question, sorry, I misinterpreted it, was about the self-employment grants. So yeah, I mean, as you've been following, if you've successfully claimed the first grant before today, the 13th of July, the scheme has been extended, and so there is a second grant available. So that you're eligible to claim for, because obviously your business has still been impacted as a result. So so please, do look online for the government guidelines, as that is a lot clearer, and the process that you've gone through the first time is exactly the same for the second time. So yes, definitely apply for the second extended grant as well.
Right. Well, I guess this is all for today. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. It's always really cool to see you on there and to be able to speak to you and tell you things rather than typing. If you do have more questions, feel free to post them on the forum. Again, we're trying to answer those as quick as we can and to give you the answers that we actually have For the rest, we always seek a further clarification if we need to. Right.
Perfect.
See
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.